Is it possible to invest while paying off debt? Yes. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how I paid off six figures of debt while building up my six-figure investment portfolio. My name is Tashika Ma'at. I'm a financial coach and the founder of Jama Wealth Financial. I help you keep more cash in your pocket so you can position it to wealth and create a life of freedom and ease. This episode is all about how do you balance both? How do you try to build up your investment portfolio while trying to pay off debt and free up your cash flow? I decided to not focus on gung ho paying off six figures of debt. I was already in a constant cycle of working to pay off debt, and I was done throwing all my money towards debt. I was increasing my income, but I still had an issue with debt. When I shifted from focusing on debt freedom to building wealth, I had to look at what was most important and what was going to allow me to reach the goal I set for myself. Debt payoff was still the priority because I needed to free up cash flow. At that time, I was paying upwards of $2,000 a month towards debt payments. Trying to build up my investment portfolio and I have 2 grand going strictly towards debt, it was painful and I wanted to get rid of it as soon as possible. I'm going to walk you through my strategy because I didn't want to pay off all that debt and then have my net worth be zero. I wanted to build up assets so that while I was paying down debt, I still had assets growing on the side. So the first thing I did when I decided to balance investing while paying off debt is I got really clear on how much debt I had. I listed out all of my credit cards, all of my student loans, all of my personal loans, all of the card payments that I had, looked at the interest rates on those accounts, the minimum payment on those accounts, and the balance on each of those accounts. I wanted to be clear on what was going on with that debt so that I could create a comprehensive plan to get out of it. I looked at some debts that I could knock out pretty easily. There was some low hanging fruit that maybe was $300-400 that I can get out of the way and bring back some cash flow. Once I was able to knock out that low hanging fruit, I focused on what debt was taking up most of my income. I wanted to free up as much cash as possible because then I would be able to shift some of that money towards my investment. And for me at that time, it was my car payment. My car payment was somewhere upwards of 400, I think 457, $500. At one point, I had refinanced to reduce my car payment amount, but that was the one thing that was eating up a lot of my income. I first utilized the snowball method to quickly pay off some debt so I can get that instant boost. If you don't know, the snowball method is organizing your debts from lowest balance to highest balance. And you put any extra amount you have towards that lowest balance and pay that off as quickly as possible. Once you pay off that lowest balance, you're going to take the minimum payment that you're paying on that debt plus any extra amount and dump it into the next debt on that list. The idea is that you are snowballing your debt progress. And the snowball method is for those who want a quick win, like you want to see progress with your debt so that you can get rid of it. I first started off that snowball method. Then I switched to what I call the highest payment method. I was looking at what debt was eating the most of my income and focusing on paying it off as quickly as possible. The strategy I used was that as I was paying down debts and I was able to free up income and free up my cash flow, I then started positioning money towards my investments. This is how I was able to balance paying off debt as well as building up my investment portfolio. I started off with 1% towards my investments and was increasing that over time. As I freed up my income from debts, I put more towards my investments. This worked for me because it made me feel like I was making progress. My debts were decreasing, but I wasn't stuck in the debt cycle anymore. I was building wealth on the side. And that was the balance I needed. I didn't want to feel like I was just working and throwing all of my money towards debt and not having anything to show for it. So, part of that balance is to understand what's most important so that you can start building wealth. Look at your expenses, look at your debts, look at what is taking up most of your income so that you can start freeing up that cash flow and building up your investments. And I want you to understand that this is not a perfect process. This was trial and error for me because I spent a lot of my years following the guru of only save $1,000, only invest when you've paid off all your debts. But I tried that method and it didn't work for me. As much as I was trying to pay off debt, there was a disconnect that didn't allow me to stay focused on that plan. And it simply didn't work for me. The way that I shifted the plan to work for me was to find balance. I was in my mid 30s, had children, six figures of debt, barely any assets, and I wanted to start building wealth for myself and my family. This allowed me to build up my portfolio while paying off that debt. The key thing I want you to understand is you have to figure out what balance works for you so you can start positioning more of your income to building wealth without having to just throw everything at debt and putting your investments on hold. Remember, building up your investment takes time, and time is the most important factor to help you build your wealth. Let me know. Are you in this phase of trying to figure out how to invest while paying off debt? What are some things that you've tried? What's worked? What's not worked? Let me know in the comments. Stay tuned to the next episode as I'm going to walk you through the exact process that I use to help me invest to build my net worth. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified when I post the next episode. And until my next video, here's your financial freedom.